My daddy served in the army where he lost his right eye, but he flew a flag out in our yard till the day that he died. He wanted my mother, my brother, my sister and me to grow up and live happy in the land of the free. Now this nation that I love has fallen under attack. A mighty sucker punch came flying in from somewhere in the back. As soon as we could see clearly through our big black eye, man, we lit up your world like the 4th of July. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist. An eagle will fly, and it's gonna be hell when you hear Mother Freedom start ringing her bell, and it'll feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. All brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Justice will be served and the battle will rage. This big dog will fight when you rattle his cage. And you'll be sorry that you messed with the US of A. 'Cause we'll put a boot in your ass, it's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty starts shaking her fist, and the eagle will fly, and it's gonna be hell when you hear Mother Freedom start ringing her bell, and it'll feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. All brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Of the red, white, and blue. Of my red, white, and blue.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
You got the touch.
This is the kind of thing that just tickles my balls.
Not ramping down. Just getting started. Nothing stops this train. Who are you?
Oh, you better be joking.
Greetings. See, it would
Good
help
morning.
turn the microphone up.
I did the same thing. I had myself muted.
Oh, did you? Did you?
Yeah.
Good morning to everyone joining us in chat. Good morning to Hillbilly, Sean Daugherty, lovely producer Lucy. We missed you last week. Some asshole named Justin Perkins. No, I'm
I
just
don't like that guy.
Did,
I don't like him
you
at
like how
all.
I fat fingered everyone and added an extra R onto it. Good morning, Rebecca. Snark and Sass. Greetings and good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chance, and welcome in. This is always, I guess, the first time that we did a 9/11 memorial tribute show was last year, because I'd always kind of avoided the subject before because I didn't want anyone to, I didn't want to disrespect the memory of everyone that lost their lives in that tragedy.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. Someone came on once before and tried to talk about 9/11 conspiracies, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going there.
I remember that. I think I was on the show last year, the 9/11 show last year.
Were you?
I've been on a 9/11 show with you all. If that was the only one you done, then I was on that one. At least in my head. Maybe I was talking to my phone the whole time.
Well, hey, you could have been. Good morning, Mud Digger. Welcome in. But that was the first one I did. And, I don't care to talk about conspiracies and stuff now among 9/11 because the world is different than it was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
There's things happening in the world today that I never dreamed would happen. And I've said on the show before, and I've told people in lives and people, talking to them, in person, the most united we have ever been was on September 12th, 2001. We were all come together, but you've got these, politicians and other, you just gotta, they don't care about us. I mean, they really don't. And I've got to be careful how I word some of this and don't get off on a tangent because this will be
it's easy to do.
Because this will be considered a call to action and they'll jerk this shit down. So I'm not, I'm going to be really careful. But like I said, some of the things that are going on now, I never dreamed that they would be happening. And something dawned on me coming into the studio this morning. Good morning, Alan Reeser Jr. Welcome in. Thank you very much. But I want your opinion on this, Justin, and I want everyone listening, watching right now, please, share your thoughts. I will be dropping the link here in a few moments. If anyone wants to come up and join us, we do have some listener email and so forth, but we're going to laugh, have a good time, but we're going to be serious too. So, but on the way in, I was thinking, about today's show and about how, the opening video was what it was. And I didn't get it put together until it did not get uploaded until 15 after 9, because that's about the time I went backstage. So it may look like I put a lot of effort in that. I put 2 minutes of work into that. So, because I had the songs picked out, then the outro video will be one that goes along with 9/11. But I was thinking, President Bush was the president at the time. And I was thinking, and there's always Building 7. That's the one that nothing happened. You know what I mean? It was not hit. And it just, collapsed. And that's where all the records were kept. And you had how many billions of dollars that they were questioning like a few days before?
It was a lot. Rumsfeld announced the day before. I think it was September 10th that such and such billion, like maybe $7 billion went missing.
I thought it was 70 billion.
It might have been. I don't know. It was a lot. You get into billions, you're into a lot regardless.
Good morning, labor legend. But I was thinking, when Kennedy was assassinated, you know who the director of the CIA was, that, or he might not have been the main director, but he was way up high in the level.
I think I know what you're going to say, and I've always thought that, but it's not true.
Really?
You just Bush.
Yeah.
Bush didn't join the CIA until after.
Well, okay, but he was
according to public record.
Okay, he was in MJ-12 then during this. But my point is, if he had a part, whether it be in the CIA unknowingly or MJ-12, and this happened, then his son being president when 9/11 happened, and this is me keeping an open mind, I'm not crazy. I'm not throwing out some wild conspiracy. This is just me thinking anything's possible. Who better to get tips from? Because he was sane and of sound mind then your good old dad.
Well, like you said, he had a lot of experience with the CIA. A lot of people in both of those presidencies had a lot to do with the CIA. Rumsfeld was involved with both presidencies, Bush Sr. and Bush Jr. Bush Sr. was CIA. They had a lot of connections with Dulles. Guys that are former CIA guys, they had a lot of connections with ex-CIA programs. And, I don't put something like that past the CIA. I really don't. I just, like you said, it's convenient that he
Right.
was the guy in office at the time.
Now, if you would have told me 22 years ago that I would be saying this 22 years in the future, I'd be like, you're crazy. But the world's ass backwards nowadays. Rebecca commented, I'll never, ever forget 9/11. My husband died in a plane crash on 8/25, and our 25-year-old son was having a hard time. He was in school, and then 9/11 happened. It was horrible.
He was 15 is what she meant to say.
Very sorry for that, Rebecca.
You go down one. Her son was 15 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's, look, I can imagine, for that to happen, one would have been devastating for him. But, I would say, in all honesty, like, I wouldn't have thought about that until she said that. Like, I bet 9/11 did hit him in a completely different way, because you've already got that shared trauma, because a plane crash is not a common thing. It's really, really not. And my heart goes out to both of you over that.
Where were you at on 9/11, Justin?
I had just moved back to Eastern Kentucky, not even a week or two, maybe before that, something like that, maybe 3 weeks.
Wow.
And me and Rachel and Katie was like 2 at the time, 2.5, 2.5, 3 at the time. We just moved in together. And like I said, I had just moved back.
Right.
And so I was getting my apartment stuff together. We actually didn't have TV, and I hadn't started back work yet. So on that morning, we got up and went to my mom's, and it was just the three of us at mom's, me and Katie and Rachel. My stepdad at the time and my mom were both going to work, and I'm a pizza guy, so I was eating bagel bites for breakfast. I remember what I was having for breakfast. And I was in the kitchen at mom's, and Rachel was like, come in here and look at this. And I come in there, and by the time I had seen it, the first plane had hit, but the second hadn't. So, I can very distinctly remember, wow, how in the world did air traffic control let a plane get that close? And so I thought it was an accident at first,
Yeah. Let's see, Mitten State Media, good morning. Welcome in. Thank you very much. And something that I didn't know until a few years ago is that, they were having training exercises that morning. So there was some confusion when it first happened that air traffic controllers thought it was part of a military exercise that was going on, that they were. Yes, it did. Who would have knowledge of that? Do you actually think Islamic terrorists would have knowledge that we're going to be doing military exercise on that day at that particular time? I don't think they would.
It depends. If Clinton had been in office, yeah.
Well, but Clinton was not in office.
Yeah, so maybe they still had good connections from that, because he let a couple of them guys slip by.
Yeah. You want to read Snark's comment for us there, Justin?
I can't know all the W's, who, what, why, where, when, and how. Nobody can, but the guilty. They're sketchy throughout every level of government. My 2023 motto is do better.
That's a great motto.
I don't think they're listening to us. I hope they take your guys.
They're definitely listening to us. I promise you that, brother. We've had confirmation of that before. What did you say about Bobby?
I love Bobby Akers. They were, look, back by
you usually give Bobby
breakfast. At that point in time, I was. Do what?
What? I was going to say, you said you love Bobby. You usually go after him.
Oh, yeah. I don't like Bobby.
I have tried to tell you to leave him alone. Leave that man alone.
Yeah, I don't like Bobby. Won't.
But Bobby says bagel bites. Sounds suspicious to me. What were you saying before I so rudely interrupted you there?
I don't know. I saw Bobby and got excited. I don't know.
You're very welcome, Rebecca. peace, prayers, positive love, blessings all go out to you. I don't think we will ever know. I really don't. Do I think it was an inside job, Justin? I'm going to answer that for you. Then I want you to answer it, and people in the chat, please feel free.
Okay.
I think that it could go either way. I'm leaning more towards, because the Building 7, I had always thought, well, they just took this tragedy and then done something that they wanted to do, that they were planning to do. I'm 50-50. It could go either way. They did know about it. They did know that, terrorists had plans on using planes. They knew that, like a month or 2 months in advance, and they really paid no attention to it because that was in one of BJ Bush Jr.'s briefings that he got. Yeah. So, what do you think, Justin?
I mean, I've zero chance of a conspiracy. It wasn't really executed like a conspiracy. It doesn't feel like a conspiracy. It doesn't look like a conspiracy. I think a lot of it too is like what you take in. Like, we're very distrustful usually of quote experts and media on anything else. Everything I've ever seen that points hard towards a conspiracy comes from people that when you check them out really aren't experts. Whereas everything I've ever seen from, not government officials, but engineers and actual experts, they have zero question about it. They don't have any question about it. So I've never seen anything of any validity that shows. Now the Building 7 thing, like I remember that being a big deal, and I remember like everybody else I watched. Yeah, I watched a ton of videos like everybody else. I never seen an actual expert with an issue on why it fell, so I never went any deeper into it. Like I just I don't like. There's stuff that does look like conspiracy to me, and there's stuff that and that doesn't mean that it's not. That just means that maybe I really fell for everything that they they want me to. To me, the conspiracy is who we went to war with after. And there's a lot cheaper, a lot easier ways to go to war. Like really what they did to me, I don't see the benefit for them, because there's so many other easier routes to get there. I don't see the purpose in it. Look
what followed after. No one mentioned the $7 or $70 billion again. We had the Patriot Act go into effect that, we're still under today. We had all these changes and stuff go down. Okay. They
took advantage. They took advantage of the situation.
But do you know one place that has never changed? Now, well, okay. Let me rephrase that. It's changed some. In our area, you can get on a train in Ashland, Kentucky. Do you know if you go to board that train, there's no dogs, there's no guards, there's nothing. Nothing at all.
Yeah, there wasn't in airports until that happened. And to me, that's a big mistake on their part. They should have extended that onto trails.
Look at cruise ships now. They're almost as strict as airports.
I'd say so, yeah.
Trains are not. Think about that for just a minute. Trains are not where we get our goods, where we get our services, where we get our imports. They're not.
Well, I wonder too, though, like, is it also the extent? Because like we do a lot of work around railroad tracks. Like, do you know where 582 and 7 meet?
Yes.
I've took gas lines under that train track in 2 different places. And I have also worked outside of a correctional facility in PA, and I've worked on a couple of different pieces of federal property and a lot of public property installing gas lines. Hardest place I've ever put in a gas line was the railroad by far. Just the amount of inspection and paperwork and stuff, but also a lot of that stuff secluded. Now, as far as people getting on the train, I mean, you think they would learn a lesson from what happened at 9/11, but it is odd that didn't change. And hopefully they don't get the idea that that'll be the next. But now you take that's another thing, right? Very similar to 9/11. Okay. There's been some train crashes here lately.
Yeah.
And and conspiracy theories have went wild over that. Then when you go back and look at statistics of train crashes, how many have been happening in the past, what was actually on those trains, and how often that's on trains, and not what was said was on, what was actually on them. It's as far from a conspiracy, I think, as you can get. It's actually pretty boring, but that conspiracy wheel gets rolling, man, and it just gets out of control.
Rebecca's got a good point here. The relationship between the Bushes and bin Laden was pretty sketchy, though. It was very sketchy because they were friends with bin Laden's family. And one of his brothers, they had even nicknamed him like something Bush, Cheeky Bush.
The entire world was and still are friends with bin Laden's family. Mm-hmm. The only person at that point that probably didn't get along with bin Laden's family was bin Laden. He'd been exiled from the family a long time ago. But they do have a lot of stroke. Bin Laden's family has a lot of stroke, but they don't have, you know, they don't have anything to do with him. Like I don't. We've all got people in our family we don't claim, you know. Like I mean, I know that's at a serious level with him, but yeah, they're definitely close, you know. But they are with most because they're a very wealthy family, and money's tight with politics.
Right. Good morning, Christy. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're talking about September 11th, 2021. Never forget tribute show, memorial. Let's see. Lucy told us where she was at and so forth when it happened. And then back up earlier. Let's see. Rebecca told us where she was at. I was in our hometown like in the town part with the one red light with a juvenile prisoner in the back of my police car who was going ape shit crazy. And I was on my way to the old courthouse to meet a juvenile caseworker to give me like a petition to take him to a juvenile jail. So, and I had the radio on, and when he heard that as well, I mean, like when the music cut out and that cut in, you know, I thought it was like an emergency broadcast test because that's how it came on. He instantly shut the hell up, you know, and he was listening to it and he's like, oh, that's really sad. And he calmed down a lot. And the lady could not believe that I was wanting a petition on this kid to, you know, hey, it was his actions, you know, it was his family, you know, so.
Yeah.
But, I was there. I mean, and he was going ape shit crazy.
That is that's something nobody ever had seen or expected, no. Anywhere in the year. Cause you feel up until that point, I think Americans felt probably unreasonably safe because World Trade Centers had been hit before, you know, and then I don't know, like it's, we probably should have feared that as many enemies as we had, but I think we did have an arrogance of, you know, we can't be touched. And look, very thankfully, we don't deal with the type of issues that most countries do deal with. Like England's been hit a lot more, especially on, I think it was trains that they hit so many times in Europe and stuff. So, you know, we really get off fairly easy, but that nothing on that level. I'd never seen anything on that level. I'm sure there's probably places that it's happened. You know, we had been hit by that same group of people before, but never on American soil. Maybe an embassy, maybe a base, but never on American soil.
Well, when you look back at the big picture of things, I really think that was a turning point for us, for the country, for the politicians. I mean, because you're more or less on your own. You know, I mean, you really are, because that's obvious of, you know, how they shut everything down a few years ago, and they're talking about doing that again. You know, and like I said, when I first started having thoughts of this stuff, I'm like, man, I sound crazy. But I mean, this is based on information. This is based on facts, and this is based on, you know, you take this fact and look at that fact, and you know, and it is mind-blowing how you had the mom and pop shops that were forced to close, but yet you had the big box stores that were allowed to stay open. That still angers me to this day. And we're giving all this money to Ukraine. That aggravates all that really. I mean, and I'm starting to get heated a little bit just thinking about it. Snark says vote them out. I think we definitely need to do that. I think if we did that, we would have to vote them all out.
Well, I think that's a good idea. And I think the issue there comes down to party loyalists. I've always said, if you always vote against the incumbent, especially in Senate and Congress, you always vote against the incumbent until everybody becomes a one-term senator and congressman. When you do that, it takes the money out. And the first thing that would do would make them be willing to come back to the table willingly and say, okay, so we'll set a term limit. All right. And then if you give them a 2-term term limit, yeah, they're going to make some money. They're still going to have some stroke. But that would make a big difference. That's why I always say I have zero fear of what a president can do. None. Right. Because they don't have any power. There's no power in the presidency whatsoever. So, I don't praise them and I don't knock them. I think they're all bumbling idiots, but they don't impact us as much as how long have we had Mitch McConnell? How long have we had Pelosi? Like, these people have been there forever and they're leaving millionaires. Actually, I think in one of their cases, I'd say Nancy's close to a billionaire. She's Nancy. If everything's on the up and up in her position, she is a better stock trader than Warren Buffett.
Yeah, right.
Her percentages, her profit, and her trades are better than Warren Buffett's.
Well,
she's cheating.
I read a few years ago that Joe Biden, before he got elected president, his economic financial worth, not counting his house, was only it was less than $700,000. Okay, now 2 years into office, because it was a couple years ago, $7 million. So
I don't doubt that, and it's rampant through all of government, not just elected officials. The guy that approved OxyContin and said it probably isn't. He didn't say it wasn't. He said probably doesn't show tendencies of being highly addictive. That guy made $50,000 somewhere in there, maybe $100,000, $150,000 a year, whatever it was.
Right.
A government job to do that. I think it was less than a year, right around a year after approving that, he quit and went to work for the Sacklers. And I think it's like $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's got to be government oversight there. You got to be able to say, because especially with elected officials, those are jobs that are, they're your community servants. You shouldn't make a lot of money. It's not what you should do it for. And if you eliminate the money, then you eliminate the power. And if you eliminate the power, you get people that just want the job because they want to do better and they want to make. Because really, the presidency don't pay that much. What's it, $400,000, $500,000 a year? Yeah, that sounds like amazing to me. I'd kill to have that, but that's not. You can't make $400,000 and $500,000 a year and then be worth $20 billion when you've only been in office for 8 years. It doesn't work that way. So they make that money. They'll get $1 million for a 30-minute speaking engagement after the presidency. Right. That's where that's where you've got to wonder what kind of connections. What did they sell out? What time they were in there?
Well, my thinking is that Biden has got kickbacks. He's awarded contracts or government grants to different companies that will never be traced back to him, but he's got 10% right off the top.
I really think with him that a lot of that is foreign money. And I think that's been more prevalent in the last probably 10 to 12 years. We know that Hunter's money is all foreign. We know that Trump Jr.'s money is all foreign. We know that Trump's businesses that he stepped away from made a ton of money from foreign interest what time he was in office. And Biden, I don't think Hunter has made money anywhere else other than foreign interest. And we know now that Biden has made money from foreign interest. Yeah. So, I don't think that was as much of a concern with Bush Sr. I think it was more military industrial complex giving him his money. He, like you said, he's an old hat at the spy game. And then so I think that's probably where his money come in. And with Clinton, there's the supposed drug scandal in Arkansas,
okay.
but now it's got more international.
I read before Hillary got senator, they were almost broke.
I could see that.
And then after she got senator, he started getting a bunch of paid speaking engagements like you were talking about.
Mhm.
He did a book. And then that's when they started building their wealth back. I'm going to drop the link if anyone wants to pop on with us. And I want to welcome in Miss Vicky. Thank you very much, Miss Vicky, for popping in with us this morning. She says, try living in Michigan during the pandemic. Our woke governor, Whitmire, destroyed all states' small businesses. We had the same thing happen back here.
And
Welcome in, Scott. He says, inside job. I'm 50-50 on that. I think that it's very possible. And this is coming from someone who used to say absolutely 100% no way inside job. I'm 50-50. You know, I've got to go with my gut, so
back to what she said about Detroit, you look at a place, I think you could argue, you and I have seen probably the worst of this area. I'm out in it a lot. The profession you used to have, unfortunately, you saw a lot of it, but even poverty wise, we are the grandchildren and children of the Kennedy era poverty war, right. And the supposed war on poverty in the U.S. I've never seen them strike the first blow in that war, but we come from a very impoverished area. I went to Greenville, Mississippi, and I'll tell you right now, for people who live where we live, you've not seen anything. You've not seen poverty like you see in Greenville, Mississippi. It's devastating and it's heartbreaking. I've never seen anything like it. Having said that, I've never been to Detroit. I've only seen what some documentaries have brought out, especially the one about that fire department stuff up there. Some people trying to get the word out, and man,
was that the one that was closing down and so forth?
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
You talk about a place that really got it. If any place should vote independent for the rest of their lives, it would be that area, because the Democrats backed a union that crippled a workforce up there. And then the Republicans backed companies that crippled a union up there and turned them into the same thing that they were fighting against. And they jerked out everything. And that's probably that's probably one of the communities in the United States that works the hardest to survive. Are people in that Detroit area. And we don't, like, even with Flint and like the water crisis and stuff, nobody has reached out to help anybody, and it hurts. Like, I know what's his name, Michael.
I'm saying we are on our own. The government really don't care. We're on our own, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had to jump in and say that.
Well, sadly, I think a lot of those failings come down to the local level. I know of instances where federal monies are given to help local communities and they don't make it.
Yeah.
But I also know areas, all right, the FEMA trailers that were up here for the flood. We had FEMA cities up here, a couple $100,000 a month to function those cities. When they added up how long those, I think it was like $300,000 or $400,000 a month for those cities to function. They had multiple little areas. If you added all that up and all the time that they were here, they could have given everybody that was impacted the $36,000 they were trying to keep them from getting.
Yeah.
And
I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't want you to comment because you still live in that county. My home county, and Justin's home county, as well as other counties in our area, was massively affected by floods last year. I'm talking about, it was like on historical levels. It was in the national news.
Yeah.
You can go to surrounding counties and you can still see some remnants of the past, where they've still not got to certain things yet, but they're making progress. And, you're over there more than I am, but about a month ago, I was in different areas of our home county, and my thoughts was, what the hell did they do with all this money they got from the government? Because they're not cleaning up a damn thing. There is one boat or half a boat over in the Mousy area that has been in the same spot since last year. Now, somebody did pull it out of a tree because when it was first, whatever washed up, it looked like a intact small motorboat. Well, it's only half of it now, but it's been there for over a year, you know, and that makes me wonder, where did the money go to help our citizens that live there? I know where it went. I know what happened to it. The same shit that always happens to it. That's done it for years. The good old boy system. Like I said, I don't want you to comment on that.
Oh, I don't care a bit. I don't share that opinion. So I don't care a bit. Based on Breathitt County, looking at us, and looking at parts, because we got hit the hardest, more than likely. I'm very appreciative for our judge and very appreciative for the work that they've done. We've massively cleaned up. Could it have been better? Yeah. And like you said, I know where a lot of the money went. Yeah. And the county didn't get a whole lot of it, but a whole lot of contractors got a whole lot of money. And a lot of local contractors were asked to work and hold for checks. You know, there's a company right here on the same road I live on. They worked and worked and worked. They put all of one place back. There was no way in or out. I hauled water up there for 2 days. There was no way in or out. I was taking them across bridges and stuff. They worked for almost 2 weeks to get that straightened out. Working guys 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. And then the state comes in and goes, well, we don't know if we have the money to pay you. And that these guys shut down their jobs that they had and brought their equipment in, bought their fuel. And done that when fuel spiked, even with all that. So you're definitely right. It went to large contractors, a lot of which never came in here. And the money didn't go to the county. The federal paid these contractors to come in.
Now, see,
but now I have seen parts of this county that ain't been touched. You know, they've not.
And that's sad, and that frustrates me. Rebecca says the fact that we may now have given control of our health emergencies to the WHO is even more frightening. I agree with that. What's your thoughts about the possible, and don't say the name of the thing because they'll pull all this, the alphabet and number game or sickness and them shutting everything down again? What do you think the possibilities are that they'll do it again? And do you think people will do like they did last time and shelter in place?
No, I definitely, people's tired of that. Now I think that might dissuade them. You know what I mean? Because like the first time it worked really well. It did for them. Like it really did. And you know, I don't know what the outcome was there, because I had an idea what I thought they were trying to accomplish with that. And even on, you know, a conspiracy, and they failed. Like they didn't. I think if anything, that they really ticked people off. And I think Florida and a lot of these places that, you know, showed you, hey, we cannot have a big death toll. And you know, Florida's one come out and said, hey, you've got this guy that they said died of this, but he didn't. It was a motorcycle accident. You know, but the federal they're counting is, you know, they counted my daughter in Kentucky and in Tennessee because she got tested in Bowling Green. You know, and counted her twice. So, you know, I think, would they do it again in a heartbeat if they could? Yes. I don't think they'll try it again on that level, but if they do, I think it will definitely fail, because I can't afford to do it. I'm not going to do it again.
You know, I think it definitely will. To say that you have to do a certain thing or you have to get a certain thing, that's BS. I don't go along with that, you know. Now, and you know, my better half disagrees with me on that, but I think everyone has a choice. I mean, I really do.
Now, when you get to the shot, I don't think that's ever going to be mandatory again. They are on the brink of a lot of it. See,
good morning, Uncle Will. Go ahead.
Companies, I got laid off before that. So it wasn't because of that. So I had to work for other companies. So, you know, at the time, I'm always looking for any piece of paper that helps me get more money. You could go, and you still can, to WHO and what's the other one? OSHA. And you can get your COVID workplace preparedness, whatever training. So I did that. And in the course of doing that, during that time, we were considered essential workers because we were in the oil fields, and that was a power structure and anything that, you know, so we got to work. most of those big companies, especially the one I was with when we were down in Louisiana, they had doctors you could speak to at any point in time you wanted, and on the record they'd say, yeah, get that jab and do this and do that, and then they'd say, but off the record, if you got daughters that are thinking of having kids later and they're young, don't. If you've got any males under the age of 30, don't. And I don't think they're going to go along with it anymore, and I don't think that the government's going to risk lawsuits anymore of people, because they say it's that you can't sue the pharmaceutical company, and you can't.
Well, there's actually some lawsuits going on right now with the pharmaceutical company.
They're trying, and they might be a loop, and I hope they are, and I hope they light them up. I do.
Let's see. Christy says, Goose, different topic, kind of, but why are police allowed to lie to citizens for the greater good? But if I do it, I'm getting 3 hots in a cot. Also, if police do, I'm sure judges and politicians do as well. Well, when you go through training, they teach you that you are able to lie. You can't mislead, or I'm trying to think of the other word. You can't mislead them, but you can. Well, you can mislead them, because you can lie and mislead them. There's something else. I really don't have an answer for that, Christy. I'm totally. It came from a Supreme Court case, basically. But you have a lot of those things getting challenged these days. I think some judges need to be looked at as well, and definitely politicians. I think that they all lie. I never, I'm sure that I did inadvertently, unknowingly lie over the years, but I was honest and straight up front with people. That was just me, because one of the things, and I see this nowadays, and it aggravates me, and then I see the opposite, and it makes me feel good. When I went through the police academy, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that will tell you this, one of the things that they told us was, if we messed up, if we were wrong, never say you were sorry. Because if you said you were sorry, even if it was something that wasn't that big, that could open you up to a lawsuit, because the person may think they did something wrong. They're telling me they're sorry. Well, I wasn't raised like that, man. I was not raised like that. And the first time that, I was trying to unlock a guy's car, and he had an older model car with the locks that were like straight up popping down, and it was an older car, and I hit it with a Slim Jim, and when I did, the whole lock just fell down inside the door. It damaged his door. Because it was, and I didn't say I'm sorry. And when I left, I felt like I was inch high private eye, and from there on out, I would say, well, I'm sorry that happened, or I'm sorry that happened to you, or I would straight up say I'm sorry. Now, you get a lot of them today that don't say that. I know why they don't, because they're trained that way. But then you get some of the younger ones that do say they're sorry. No matter what they do, that lets me know that they're a good person, because they're saying that they're sorry. So hopefully that kind of explained it, Christy. Probably not, because I went off in a different direction.
No, I think that's but like you said, it's a psychology thing, and it's used as an investigative technique, and it should be to say that.
Well, and I've never, and I've interrogated a bunch of people, and I never lied, never. I would straight up tell them, or ask, hey, here's what I got,
as a young guy, like when I was younger and wanting to get somebody I felt was a really, like I would have. No, I'll be straight. Like in my mind, I'd be like, I'll use anything I can to get this bad person off the street. And I think a lot of people think that way, but it doesn't make it right. Just because you're doing something for the right reason and you feel like it's the right reason, it doesn't make it right, because it allows people who will use it for the wrong reason. It gives them carte blanche to use it as well.
Right. If you've ever wondered why cops don't say they're sorry, that's the reason why. So, Let's see. I did drop the link, so if anybody's just now, I'll drop it again here. If anybody doesn't want to come on, feel free. I guess we can go ahead and read some listener email, Justin. We 41 minutes in, and I kind of, after the opening video, we just started talking about night, and we'll go back and talk about it some more. So I'll let you start off with some listener email.
All right. This one is from Melissa. Dear Goose and Justin, I hope this email finds you both well. I wanted to reach out and introduce myself as a new listener to the Here to Chew Bubblegum podcast. Over the past few weeks, I've been thoroughly enjoying your show during my spare time, especially some of the older episodes. I wanted to take a moment to praise the recent episode with Limits as your special guest. His insights and perspective added a fantastic layer to the discussion, and I was truly captivated by the content. In fact, I was so impressed that I've now subscribed to his YouTube channel to keep up with his work. Your podcast has quickly become a highlight of my day, and I'm looking forward to catching up on more of your past episodes while eagerly awaiting your future content. Thank you both for the incredible work you do, and I can't wait to hear what you have in store for your listeners next. Melissa, P.S. Why do some listeners end their emails with Roswell?
Thank you very much, Melissa.
Yes, thank you very much.
Welcome in, Little Leg Day. Before you answer the email, Little Leg Day, I think he's directing that towards you. Do you still work in the oil field?
Yes, almost 20 years in natural gas. I've never done anything else. I don't think I'm probably never will.
Everything with you is gas. If you want to do Little Leg Day, hop on up on the panel. I dropped the link there. I'm a little bit behind on some of the things. Do you want to answer why some people end with Roswell?
Yes. Goose used to work security at the Air Force Base outside of Roswell. And he was fired for indecent exposure.
No.
He exposed himself to an alien.
No.
And the alien pressed charge. Oh, is that not it?
No.
Oh, wait.
That is not it.
When Goose originally started this show, it was because he was a really big fan of Coast to Coast.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're doing great, brother.
Okay. And they would end their episodes or phone calls with that. I mean, their phone call. Well, you do it. I don't know. That's what I've always thought.
And that's why I wanted you to explain it, because I was testing you. So
I thought I was right. I thought that's how they ended phone calls on that show.
Here to Chew Bubblegum started in October of 2020.
In Roswell.
And it started because around that time, about, I guess, a month before, I had the letter and number thing. So I was sequestered. You were supposed to stay out that time at 10 days. But, I did come home from where I was at after 10 days, but the place I was employed at, they didn't want you to come back there, till like a month. So, I mean, that was fine because I got like a month off paid. And I didn't realize that Art Bell, who used to host and created Coast to Coast, the godfather of UFOs, time travel, all that stuff, X-Files type radio. I didn't know that he had a show a few years before he passed away. It was called Midnight in the Desert. And I started listening to some of the episodes that were on YouTube. And that's how I got the idea to kind of like not copy him, but to pay tribute and homage to him. And like Justin said, when people would call in and end with their phone calls, they would say Roswell, which was their like code for love you, or warm regards, just whatever. Roswell was positive. It meant like love and so forth.
I do anal or something like that.
No, not at all. See, there you go.
Me, I don't know. Go to jail.
Melissa says we're more vulnerable security wise than we've ever been, especially military bases. I agree with that. That does not surprise me one bit, that statement. Does it surprise you, Justin?
I have a lot of concerns, like infrastructure wise, like internet wise and network wise. Like I do have a lot of concerns there, because it feels like these hacker groups in Russia and China are getting a lot more powerful than us. Now there is still Anonymous, and Anonymous does a lot of good things. Like they get this horrible reputation from the government. That's because they keep the government in check a lot. But Anonymous does a lot of good things. Russia don't mess with Anonymous, and China don't much mess with Anonymous, and they can stop a lot of those things. So there's some legit dudes, and the United States government demonizes them, and I think that's a bad move, because if you're not doing anything wrong, I've never seen them go after anybody.
Right. I'm the same way. I had a computer class about 4 years ago on computer investigations, crimes, and safely surfing the dark web, and the dark web, and what's the other term they used? The dark web and something else. Because you've got the dark web, and then you've got the other one, the dark
core
web
server.
No, yeah, but there's like
the dark web is just a different. It's been in place for a long time. It's a different network. You got to use either an Onion browser or a Tor server to get on it. And really, it's just hard to track people. You can use it legally. There's nothing illegal about it. On there.
Fox News, NBC, CBS, ABC, all those companies had websites on the dark web. So, let's see. You're exactly right. They are a lot. And I think a lot of that has to do with the shortage that they just rushed a lot of people through. And a lot of people that they rushed through were the kids that were raised in the, yay, I didn't do anything or win anything, but I get a trophy too. So, that's
I got trophies.
So what's that?
Wish I got trophies.
Hey, dude, I had a few, but then when I realized I could buy them, I had a lot more. So
that's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm start buying my own.
and Vicky's right. There is a major shortage of law enforcement officers, and sadly to say, if you're breathing, some people will put you to work. So
there's a few tall cops.
Well, I guess that's true. So
I don't have my button. I didn't want to just talk about the short cops.
Well, thank you very much, Christy. That means a lot to me. It really does. And that kind of goes along with our next email. So let me pull that back up, or let me pull it up here. I like this one. I like this one a lot. We are going to be cleaning out our backlogged email here.
Closet.
Yeah, in the next like 3 or 4 weeks. But this one is from Dixon09, a regular listener to the show. Hey, Goose and Justin, you two have kicked the show into high gear. I'm like McDonald's. I'm loving it. This question is for Goose. I've noticed that you've said your location more and more. In earlier episodes, you didn't really do that. Do you do it now because you're retired? I was thinking that might be the reason, but wanted you to clarify. Until next time, love, peace, and blessings, Roswell, Dixon09. Oh, Dixon09, you are correct. That is the reason that I do it, because before, if you go back and listen to some earlier episodes that are still up as of now, people would write in and I would say that I worked at the cookie factory, because the county that I am in, there's actually a cookie factory. And, but last year, the reason that I gave, well, not I didn't give the location away, but some of the sweepers that we used to play, that we used, and we do have some new ones coming up, would say from coming to you from the city that moved mountains. I had a guy actually email me probably about a year ago, and he's like, hey, do you live in so-and-so? I'm like, yeah, how do you know? He said, well, it's in your, he called it an ad. He's like, from the secret location. And he's like, so I just searched, the city that moves mountains. I'm like, well, yeah, we're near there. So I'm like, you're the first person that has ever figured out that Easter egg. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. So, and then he started talking about it. Yeah.
When I heard that the first time, I was like, what does he mean? Then I thought of that project and I was like, I wonder if that's where it come from.
Yeah.
And then you read up on that project and you're like, well, yeah, it's definitely where he got it from.
That's definitely where it come from. So, yeah, but that was just like a Easter egg that, I would always throw in there, but, and that's the reason, and then I used to be, I was the same way with my real name. People would be like, "Hey, what's your?" I mean, I've been known as Goose ever since I've been 15 years old. Then my mom and then Justin coming on as a regular have used my name more the last 3 months than it has been in the last 3 years.
I've always called him Uncle Ronnie.
Uncle Ronnie, yeah.
Uncle Ronnie.
Oh, but we're still. Yeah, I know, Lucy. I know you can text me and beat me down. I'm sorry, but the website and the emails are coming. You can email us right now at hereto.chewbubblegum@yahoo.com, or you can call, text, or leave a voicemail. How can they do that, Justin?
You can call us at 606-373-3396. 606-373-3396. 606-373-3396. You thought I'd forgot it, didn't you?
No,
So I said it 3 times really quick because I knew you was going to take it away from me.
Not at all. Really quick before, let's see, Rebecca's commented there. Okay, I think it's in the chat stuff. Well, we did have someone leave us a voicemail this week. They're a friend of the show, and Justin,
No, hold on. I've not heard this yet, right?
No, you've not heard this.
This is the one. This is the one you asked me about it. Okay.
Okay. Now this is about 38 seconds, and they're a friend of the show. They've been on the show before. First discovered us on the radio. So Justin, they have a request that I think you can take care of.
Okay.
So here is their voicemail that they left us on the Here to Chew Bubblegum show phone, 606-373-3396. All right. And
hey guys, I just want to call and say that I'd like to challenge Reverend Billy Joe Farnsworth to a boxing match on top of the Collier Rock whenever it's most convenient to him. If I win, I just get the pleasure of beating on you a little bit. And if you win, I will make a $500 donation to your church. Please let me know back when you want to be. Or shoot, I'd even come down to Georgia to do it. If I can get time off work, I'll come down and we have it in the church parking lot. It'd be just the same to me.
Well, now he is out of what's it called? Like they got the bracelet off of him. So I think he can leave Mississippi. Yeah,
Billy,
he can leave Mississippi.
And I have talked to him after I got that message. I contacted him. He is serious. He is legit. For some reason, he just does not care too much for Billy Joe or BJ.
Who does?
And he is willing to put $500 up. Do you think you could probably set that up?
I think I can set it up. The only reason I'm willing to set it up, I would never want to see Billy Joe get $500 for his church. Okay. But Billy Joe's probably going to be too intoxicated to win, so I think it's a good idea. And I really, how about if Billy Joe don't win, we'll get him we'll all go together and put a couple bucks towards some other charity if he wins. Billy Joe's not going to pay a dime. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah,
no, I think it's a great idea.
So listener, I will not reveal your name right now. I'm pretty sure you know who that was, Justin. Go ahead and see if you can set that up and maybe give us an update next week.
I tell you what might be a good idea, because Bolin has mentioned this. Bolin's mentioned a wrestling match. How about both of those in the same day at the same event? Let him wrestle first so he don't get knocked out before, and let Bolin roll him and wrestle him a little bit, and then let this guy knock him out cold.
Oh, hey, Bill. Thank you very much for joining us. Hello from, Kidsap. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, or if I'm not, Justin, jump in. County, Washington State. So I guess it's 7:30 on the West Coast right now. So you have to go to the restroom, don't you, Justin? Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Let's see, Rebecca. Uncle Will, yeah, true, but it was part of growing up. What are you doing, Justin? Yeah. If you notice, Justin has the Golden Girls night pants or pajamas or PJs, whatever you want to call them. Like I said, I'll drop the link again. If anybody wants to come on, and I understand, sometimes people are driving or they're a little bit shy. You don't have to show your face. You can use an avatar if you want to, or if you want to call. Hey, we'll put you on 606. Let me put that number out there. 606-373-3396. We'll put you on the show this morning. Just call in. Let me go back up here. Get caught back up with the comments. But tomorrow is September the 11th. So, I hope everyone has a blessed day. And if you can pay it forward and do something for someone, please, take that chance and get to do that. Because you could if you get to do that, you can make a difference in someone's life. So, and not even realize it. And it doesn't have to be anything big. But you definitely could. Let me go see. Got some more things coming in here. Lucy says snazzy pants. So, well, see, now you call them pants. I call them pajamas, PJs. So, do you really call them snazzy pants? Hey, snazzy pants, welcome back. He probably can't hear me. Don't have his headphones on, but as soon as he does, let's see. Let me go back up to Lucy's comment real quick. Hello there, snazzy pants.
That's my Golden Girls pants. I wore them just for producer Lucy and Bolin Cox. I know they both like Golden Girls.
I thought you only wore those when you ate cheesecake.
I like to have some cheesecake.
Oh, the face for radio. My dad used to say the face for radio. He did work in radio. Oh, let's see. I would, but cell service is pretty spotty, brother. I know how that is. Knock on wood, we're doing good today there. So, hey, we will let you loose. You come right on if you want to. There's only 2 people that we would not, maybe 3. Well, I don't know. There's 1 or 2 that if I see them pop up backstage, I wouldn't let them on. So,
the Reverend Billy Joe being one of them. He is insistent on co-hosting an episode. I think what would be better is let him and Bolin just do a little thing, and then if there's any of it we could use, that's that's not
that we could use.
Yeah, then put it up.
Christy, peace, prayers, positive energy, love, healing. My dad passed away in 2012. Justin, so we can pick back up with September 11th and talk about it some more. You told us where you were at when you heard that it happened. So all right, what was your thoughts to the president reading to children, being told about it, and just sitting there and not instantly acting? Now, I can understand you don't want to abruptly leave a room full of children, but you could have done it quicker than what he had done it.
I despise Cheney, and I'm not a Bush guy. I'm not. And very few times will you ever hear me say anything about Bush. What I'd like to think is, one, it was so shocking he didn't exactly know what to do. And I don't know that if I was in that situation that I wouldn't have done the same thing. However, I wasn't in that situation because I wasn't the president of the United States, and I'm not qualified and probably shouldn't be the president of the United States.
Did you think anyone as president is qualified to be president?
Probably. Yeah, there's been a couple. There's been very few. I don't know that. I definitely don't feel he was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really feel he was president. To be completely honest with you, I feel like they knew Cheney couldn't win, and they just put W in there and let Cheney pull the strings.
Well, actually, if you go back and you want to look at it, Gore should have been president that year.
Well, yeah, but I agree with that. There's a real good possibility that that was a bad goof up there. But having said that, on a level of dumb, I feel Gore's dumber. So it kind of pleases me that he get, because I read his book that got him his or his paper that got him his Nobel Peace Prize that he didn't write any of. And it was kind of dumb to begin with, but
because he created the internet.
Oh yeah, he did. He did. You know, actually, I think, and it's funny you mentioned it. I think the way that TV allowed Kennedy to win, I think the internet has allowed some people to win as well, and that's kind of wild as things go along. You know, really, Kennedy wasn't the better candidate as far as what people wanted in politicians. They just thought he was more handsome before the bullet hole. You know,
man,
I mean,
awful.
afterwards, I don't know if he was so handsome afterwards. I don't know. I'm not laughing. You're laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm just saying, pre-bullet hole was probably more attractive than post-bullet hole. You know, but it's weird how that changes things, and that definitely has negatively impacted the way people think about Bush. But you know, it's one, like, I don't think he done. I'm not saying I think he done the right thing in that moment. But putting myself in his place, like, I don't know what I would have done. You know what I mean? Like, I can sit and say, oh, I would have done this, this, and this. But, you know, I've been in a lot of high pressure situations, and sometimes you do the right thing, and sometimes you freeze. And I don't think anybody's immune to that. You know, I don't know.
Man, well,
plus he's dumb. So there's that.
If you imagine what you would do in a certain situation or, you know, incidences, not constantly, but over and over, how you would react, what you would do, you're better prepared that way. And it goes along with, like, in the 80s, they wanted everybody to have an escape route from their house in case of a fire and a safe word in case a stranger pulled up to say, hey, kids, your parents told me to pick you up. Get in the car with me. I'll take you to them. You know,
that's not what I use my safe word for.
Okay. Well, you're supposed, or not say a password. You're supposed to ask, what's the password? You know, and so you've had all those things, you know, that they wanted you to practice. You know, if you suddenly find yourself on fire, stop, drop, and roll. You know, I mean, the 80s were a great time, but we had horrible PSAs and commercials. You know, but I mean, what would you expect from, you know, you've got little kids out here throwing yard darts, playing a game with big darts, like nothing's going to happen to anyone. But you know, if you think about certain scenarios and how you would react and respond, you handle them better. Yeah, you're still going to be like on edge and you may mess up or you may miss a step, but you're still going to be mentally prepared better. Now, I used to be a really big stickler for that. Like, if I went and stayed in a hotel, I did not stay above the second floor, you know, no matter where it was at. You know, if they're like, oh, we're going to the beach, you know, I mean, there might have been a third floor room once at the beach just for the view. But, you know, there was a time that I stayed at the second floor or the first floor. Or, you know, I mean, that was just my preference. And I had someone ask me once, they're like, why do you want to do that? I'm like, well, if the building catches on fire, I want to be able to survive the fall when I jump, you know? So.
Oh, I thought it was so you could be nude in front of the windows and people could see you.
No, that is not it.
Oh, that's why I did.
And that is not it. Personally, I thought it was a strong move at the time to panic kids is horrible. Yes, it definitely is horrible.
But now, like she said, now she's not sure about that. And I think she perfectly described how I feel about it. I think at the time I thought it was a good move. And now I'm like, you know, maybe he was just dumb. Well, we know he was dumb, but maybe it was a dumb moment.
I mean, you know, you shouldn't have jumped up and rushed out, you know, but.
I'm the opposite. I think you should have jumped up and told them kids, say, well, I'm going to die. And then just run just to see what they would do. See how prepared they were. See if the school system was prepared.
I'm going to tell you what they would do. They would have cried because years ago, and I think I've told this story before, and my grandson was asking me about it Thursday. which I went and ate lunch with him Thursday. It was Grandparents' Day, and the food at the school that he goes to is horrible. I'm glad that the little fella takes his lunch every day. But he would not share his lunch with me. He made me eat the stuff that the school gave us. But he's like, tell me that story, how you made my mommy cry. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So years ago, when his mom was like 4 years old, so she was a year younger than him, we were taking her to Kings Island, an amusement park that has been in it's been in movies, it's been in the Brady Bunch TV show. So we were almost there. And she was asleep the entire time in a car seat. So we drive through McDonald's and to get like a sandwich and just to get breakfast. So we pull over before we wake her up, and I just pull out of the way, and we were at this like little strip mall. I pull out of the way to a building that had burned down. I just pull in the parking lot. And for some reason, no, I was a kid myself. Keep this in mind. I was a kid myself. So I was like probably 23 years old. So I woke her up. I'm like, Mercedes, oh my God, we've made it to Kings Island and it's burned down. And she instantly woke up, looked at us sitting in front of a building that had been burned down for quite a while, and balls crying. I mean, she's like real tears, like the heavy snotty cries. And her mom looked at me and she's like, why did you do her that way? I'm like, well, I didn't know she would react that way. I was trying to wake her up so she could eat, because normally she's like, she was hard to wake up. But even when I told her, I was just joking, it didn't burn down. We're almost there. She thought I was lying to her. So, yeah, and I felt terrible at that. So.
Well, I mean, I understand feeling bad, but it was a really good joke.
Yeah, but the lesson I learned is don't tell a 4-year-old that one of their favorite amusement parks burned down here right in front of it. So
don't tell them that a hunter killed the Easter Bunny either. Other parents frown upon that.
Oh yeah, but just I even forgot how that story came up. But let's see. Rebecca says JFK looked confident and logical, and Nixon looked put on the spot. Prepared. Exactly. Be prepared.
Yeah, I agree. He would stammer and stutter, and he sweated real bad, and he didn't like. And again, like I ain't afraid I'm going to suck one that tastes good. I'm pretty confident in my sexuality. Kennedy was a handsome man, like he was, and Nixon wasn't, and that will impact you to some degree, even though you may like. Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know how good a politician Tulsi Gabbard is, but just right off, I would have voted for her automatically, and then after sitting and listening to her, I would still vote for her because she is intelligent. She is good at what she does, So that, I think that, especially at that time in America, one, like there was a physical appeal to him. And then plus he was young, and then two, like she said, like, Nixon looked rough. And if you look at Nixon's record, Nixon wasn't awful at what he done. And especially like I see like the ideal that the government's bad. Nixon had that idea a long time ago.
Yeah.
Do I think that I like Nixon? No. Did I think, which I wasn't alive when Nixon was in office. Would I have voted for Nixon? No, probably not. I like the message that Kennedy was getting across a lot more. But, Kennedy still didn't sweep Nixon. The mob won the election for Kennedy. I think we're about 99% ready for them to admit that now. The Chicago mob stole, that's why they helped kill him. They stole the election for him. But you look at Nixon after that, once he had got accustomed to that, I think Nixon won with the highest majority ever. Before him or since him, he beat his opponent when on his re-election by the highest ratio ever, higher than what happened last election, the highest ratio ever.
And well, if you want to look at Nixon's presidency too, the guy that Was it Ford? Gerald Ford. Good morning, me.
Yeah, the guy that the only non-elected
He
president.
was vice president less than what, a year when he became president.
Mhm.
So, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that makes, does stuff to make kids laugh and so forth. I'll tell you this one really quick on my daughter. And now she was like 25 years old when this happened. Me and her and my son went into a PetSmart. This was just a few years ago. This was about 4 years ago. And I told her that it was on a Saturday that they had special coupons in the kitty litter. You just had to dig around for it. So she's back there in this big table full of kitty litter where you like bag your own with this scoop, digging through all of it, going, where's it at? Where's it at? I can't find it. And me and my son are just standing back laughing our ass off at her. And after about a minute, she turned around, she's like, that's not true, is it, Dad? You lied to me, didn't you? I'm like, no, honey, I'm joking with you. There's a difference. So, Douglas, hey, welcome in, Douglas. He lost faith in Kennedy after the Bay of Pigs. There were a lot of people that
But that's one. Yeah, that was another thing that the mob didn't care much for, because that's mostly mob soldiers and CIA guys that got hit, pretty hard after that. But
what do you think about the Saudis playing 9/11?
I don't really know anything about that. Like to me, it seemed like the trail was pretty clear to where it went to. Like, I don't know. I really don't know anything about that. I can't speak intelligently on that. I don't know anything about that.
Let's see. Jay Potter says, and welcome, Jay Potter. My mom's brother stuck broomsticks in her pants legs and yelled fire. Then she has anger issues over that. Yeah. Normally, if you guys just joining us now, we normally open up and we'll chit chat and go to email and this and that, and we come right out of the gate talking about September 11th. Then we did email, and then Justin in his Golden Girls pants, he had to get up and go. Well, not pants, but sleep pants. Right? Sleep pants. Had to. Are they really the little Sleepy's brand?
Oh yeah, they're soft. See, they're like
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want the ones that look like blue jeans. Those really tight blue jeans. So y'all gotta watch me walk around them.
Hey. I'm bored. We'll start hearing the camera off here. Sorry, I didn't mean to yawn. I've been up since like 2 a.m. So. But on September 11th, 2001, there was 2,996 people that lost their lives that day. Now I know you've been to New York. Have you been to Ground Zero?
Yeah.
The first time I went was year before last. We went, and I had never wanted to go to New York. I went to Chicago before that. I will say that I like New York a lot better than Chicago. New York wasn't as bad as what I thought it would be, as I had it built up in my head, but just the feeling that at the fountains at Ground Zero, and it was just unreal. And this past April, and I started to load some pictures up. I may do that with something else. But this past April, just that's September, so like 4 or 5 months ago, I was in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where the memorial went down, where you had the heroes fight with the hijackers and crash the plane. And that entire area, there is, if you've not been there's like a big, sidewalk, gravel. It goes all the way around, and it is humongous. And they've got, like placards, so far. But just being there on a place that used to be a coal mine, it's just, you really just kind of feel it in the air. You really do. And where the plane hit in the ground, they have it marked with a boulder. and the trees in 22 years later are just now starting to grow back because of all the diesel, the jet fuel, and all of that. And there was an incident, and I was iffy if I was going to talk about this on the show, but I might try to upload some pictures here real quick while we're talking. Have you ever been to Shanksville, Justin?
No, the only site I'd been to is New York. I'd seen the Pentagon years ago before, or the surrounding area and stuff, but New York is the only place I'd been that was affected by it. And I went in 2020, okay. And I was like, I didn't want to go because I'd always told my wife and them, I was like, I don't hear good things because I work with a guy that works that area a lot. And he's in there a lot. And, before I went, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I think you'll be good. Go here, there. I ended up going to a lot of the city myself. My wife and them really only got out and went to Times Square just because it takes a long time to get ready. And that's what they wanted to do. But there's a girl from back here, a really good artist who she graduated in 99 with my wife. She moved straight to New York and went to art school. And I had talked about it to her after I got back, and I was like, I really liked it. And she said from 99 to 2001, she really didn't like it. She said people were rude, really? They were mean. She said she didn't enjoy it. She said, and within a week or two of 9/11, she said people were so much nicer and so much, more sympathetic to other people and stuff. And like I said, I really enjoyed my time there. Everybody's super busy. Like nobody ever seems to look up and engage with other people, but everybody was super nice. We had no issues with anybody being mean or rude. Now that same guy that told me he felt I was good to go at that time told me that right now you don't want to be anywhere up there.
Really? So it's
just new laws. And yeah, I mean the cops are overwhelmed. There's very few of them. And
everything's pretty overwhelmed. So, let's see. I'm uploading the last picture here. But I'll catch back up on the comments too. Looks like damn it. Okay, no, all right. I'm good. I got more. I deleted them. I'm back here uploading pictures and trying to work the StreamYard stuff, text coming in and all this good stuff, man. But we've got about four here. I'll upload and show in just a moment. I'll get the comments first. There we go. So, but I'm like you. New York wasn't what I expected it would be because I always thought it would be crowded. I would never, the only reason and that I would ever want to go to New York, and you can't do this anymore because of 9/11, was to see Saturday Night Live. I would love to be in the audience and see Saturday Night Live. Now, after 9/11, I think there's a really, or from what I read a few years ago, a really strict screening process where they don't just give tickets away. You have to, seek the tickets. Like I think it's 2 or 3 years in advance, and they'll give you a specific date. And if you don't fit the screening process, then you're not going to get the tickets. So
yeah.
But that was the only reason I would ever want to go. But like I said, it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was.
I definitely would have lived there. I'll just be honest with you. Which I'm a city person.
No, I would not have done that.
I love Nashville. I would prefer to live in Nashville over it, but yeah, once me and that's, and Rachel never talks about leaving here. That's one thing me and her both talked about because I like convenience. I like tons of stuff going around. Yeah, I definitely would have stayed if somebody said, here, you can stay. And I'm glad now with what happened after the UB40 that, I didn't, but I would have stayed at that time.
Now, was that the original Black Panther riots, Douglas? I mean, you know, I liked Michael Jordan Steakhouse. We ate there. I thought that was awesome. It was a nice place we stayed at, but just going out on the street and people, you know, wanting to shine your shoes. And I mean, that was just, I mean, I would be waiting on waiting on a light to change so I could cross the street, you know, not jaywalk. And people be coming up, you know, I was trying, you know, wanting to shine my shoes and stuff. And I'm in, you know, sneakers, ball shoes. I was not going to shine. So,
well, it's these, even the mall now that, you know, about 2 hours from us, like you can't, there's 2 or 3 spots in there. Like, especially if you wear, luckily for me, I wear skate shoes. I'm still a child. Like they don't have any desire to clean mine, but like if you wear Nikes or any type of Jordans, it's, hey man, let me bring those back to life for you. You know, so like that's getting prevalent everywhere. Now my future son-in-law, that's where he's originally from, in Chicago, and I was always worried about going to Chicago, but that's where they went on their anniversary. And then they went back, I think, another time for something else. My daughter likes it. She likes New York more, but she did like Chicago. I've drove through it and around it, but I've never been to it. I'd still like to go. I'm a massive Jordan fan, so I just want to see the statue, go to the arena once and watch a game. That's it.
I didn't go to the statue. I went to his restaurant, which was awesome. You know, this evidently saved these as something else. So I don't know what's going on here. Let's see. But you know, his it smelled like trash. I mean, honestly, you know, because it was about April when we went and we rode through, and it's no offense to anyone listening or watching that lives in Chicago. No offense at all. You know, this is just my, you know, this is just how it, you know, felt to me, you know, because keep in mind, you know, I don't like, you know, big cities anyway. But it smelled like trash, you know, to me. No, you know, Nashville, I've been to Nashville a bunch of times. I like Nashville.
Nashville's still kind of small. But now see, when I went to New York, I went in February. We left the Sunday they got their first case of UB40. The Friday before that Friday, they thought they had one. It was a false. Everything had been out west to that point. And we left the Sunday they got their first one and come home sick, all 3 of us. But didn't have it, I guess. You know, but we came home sick. But no issue whatsoever. My daughter's been in New York numerous times, but they went this summer, and she said it reeked. And I've heard the same thing about Philadelphia. I really like Philadelphia, especially the historical district. I've been twice. Once in March and once in February. Loved it, but I've heard the same thing. So I think just you've got the sanitation issues and the trash issues, and you know, you don't have, like, it's going to be different in the city. And so I can see that, because like if you go through Louisville by the pig factory and stuff out there, man, that, you know, but all of our cities, you know, are not like that. There's still some natural element to them, and the populations are smaller, so we don't experience that. And I'm like, I've not experienced that in the big cities yet. But everybody I talk to is like, if you go in the summer, it smells like pee and trash. That's what I hear a lot.
Yeah, you know, I just, like I said, I was not a fan of New York. So, or not New York, but Chicago. New York, yeah, like I said, it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. For some reason, these pictures won't load up back here on this end, but you know, they're from Shanksville. So let's see, catch up on some comments. Me says, oh man, I bet it's as solemn as Waco is. I've never been to Waco. I was originally supposed to go there last week, either last week or week before last. And
can I ask?
Yes, go ahead. No, you go.
Are you all talking about Waco with Koresh?
Yes.
Okay, like, and I'm not trying to get out, like,
right.
I see a lot of people defending David Koresh and what happened at Waco. I worked with a guy from that area who had a lot of experience with 2 people involved in that.
Okay.
I don't think enough gets out. He was a child molester that molested small children, and they couldn't get him out of a building.
Now, was that actually proven?
by video, by testimony, by picture, by self-admission. Yes. He's a
Okay.
child molester that raped kids. He is a
Well,
cult leader child molester that
and
raped kids. I hope the fire was hot, but I mean, I
for
don't get
him,
it.
yes, but for the innocent women and children,
They
no.
should have left.
No.
The children, the children were thought to have been. Look, did the government goof that? Yes, they goofed that 100%.
Big time.
But
Big time.
people treat him like he is a hero, and they should have just left him alone. They should have marked him out a long time before that.
Definitely. I don't think he's
Oh
a
no,
hero.
tons of people treat him like a hero. It's not a few here and there. Tons of people do, and it's mind-boggling. Same thing at Ruby Ridge. Like what happened at Ruby Ridge is a tragedy, but
Yes, it is.
why? You know, it really didn't have to happen.
No, because you
You
had
know,
a federal
they
agent
weren't-
that kept aggravating and
You had somebody that wouldn't
demanding,
comply.
asking.
You had somebody that wouldn't comply.
Well, you know, but they were the one that set Randy up. They wanted him to cut a was it a shotgun or a rifle barrel to where it
He's
was
white supremacist. I don't
so-
care what they were getting him for.
Well,
He was a white
but
supremacist committing
you-
hate crimes.
well, but
You know,
still-
again, if his family hadn't died, murk him out. I don't understand making heroes out of bad people, and that seems to happen a lot there.
well, yeah, but you have to. All right, take the all right. Let's take the Randy Weaver case. All right, that was set up in a cabin. That they fired first. That should not be that they should not have done that. And there's a lot. I mean, just how the government did, not necessarily him, but how they did the whole raid, or not necessarily a raid, but arrest. With his wife getting, killed, in front of their young son. And didn't he have a child die too? Because I know that the surviving children got millions of dollars from the government, as well as Randy did too. So
yeah, he shouldn't have got a dime. But
well, he actually passed away last year or year before last.
Wish I'd have got him sooner. I have zero tolerance for a white supremacist, and to make them out to be a hero is, I can't. I don't know. Like people like. I look at things that are really bad in the world. Things were like, and I think people talk about government conspiracy, and if the government really is playing us, that's how they do it. They make something like Ruby Ridge or Waco seem like there's so much real bad going. There's so many people really being taken advantage of when we get a hold of bad people, and like there's people that glorify them, and I don't know. I'm mind blown by it. I don't get it.
I don't think they should glorify them, but the correct stuff. I never knew that was proven.
He never denied. He said that got them closer to God. That got these children closer to God.
He should have been took out and whipped a long time ago. If anyone hurts a child, there's, zero. I have nothing for him. So, you want to read that comment there? Because I thought of another way to take care of these pictures here. So
it really did. I watched those buildings burn for weeks. Years later, we learned of people lying and saying they were there and injured. Shameless. I could never think like that. I'm so just talking about 9/11 because I'd seen like there's one lady made it out like she was in the building and everything and got out. They made a doc on her. I never watched it. But I remember. It seems like somebody famous had said that. That said that they had been in there.
Oh, for like clout or whatever.
Yeah, like they made a big claim that there was an, and then the guy from Saturday Night Live, his dad was there, and I think people accused him of lying at first, but it turns out like his dad really was in there. It's Pete. It's not Pete Holmes. It's Pete something else. Pete Davidson.
Yeah. His dad actually died in 9/11. You had a guy here that's close to me that was at the university that he was in, I don't remember which tower it was in. It was the one that was struck second. And he was like he was above, he was in the hundreds floors, where it hit and struck.
And he survived.
Yeah. He actually survived. He actually come back home to the county here. And there was a story, I think year before last, they put in a local newspaper about him. He was telling about, his experiences and stuff. Cause and the 20th year anniversary. So it was about 2 years ago when he came back. And
I think the hardest thing for me to watch it all on that is the people jumping. Cause how do you get yourself to do that? Like, they had to know it was so much, it was going to be so much worse, like to be in the fire, I guess, because I can understand wanting it just be over, but I don't think I could jump. Like, I understand why they done it, but then on the other hand, the alternative's no better,
right.
It like, I don't know, like I can't imagine that fear.
Let me get through some of these comments really here. Yes, they did. And like I said, and I'll say it again, September 12th, 2001. Do you feel the same way, Justin, that we were all united that way?
I do. I mean, I was straight signed up for the military. Yeah. I was signed up for the military by November.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were going to go and...
Yeah. And that's,
right.
lost that.
Yeah. You actually told me that story before. I'm sorry I forgot that. So,
and don't even I'm
definitely
not to sound like I'm glad I didn't, because I don't feel like we done the right thing there. I don't feel like we went to the right places and done the right thing. But I most definitely wanted to.
Right. Well, I had a chance afterwards to help. That's actually a rescue squad from our home county that went up, and they helped with the cleanup and stuff. And I had a chance to go, but at that time, at that time I was married and, had 2 small kids, and my son at that time was just over a month old, just barely over a month old. And, I didn't go, but then, the rescue squad that did come back, they took a bunch of pictures and, came back and, I looked at some of the pictures and they were talking about it. And, from, just looking at the pictures and talking to some of them, I'm glad I didn't go because, I was, like I said, that was 22 years ago. So I was 26 years old and,
yes, Timothy McVeigh was outside sitting on a car in Waco, and they have news footage. Like, they have footage of him. They scan around and see.
Yeah.
He was
that. Okay. Yeah, and that leads us into something else, But man, I still no matter what Koresh was, no matter what Randy Weaver was, you had a lot of innocent people there. There's different ways.
You did. The government failed. Like, I'm not saying that they were right. Yeah, I'm not saying they're right in how they handled it. That's not my issue. Like, they're massively wrong.
Ruby Ridge was entrapment and murder. I 100% support that.
To me, like Waco, for example, I don't think the government did anything right from them, and I think they are responsible for murder there, 110%. I don't argue that at all. The problem I have is that people aren't saying, the government failed. Like, some people are, and they really do say that. But I didn't realize until the anniversary of it came up, and I got brutalized online for a comment. I didn't realize that people really think he was right and that he was a good person, and I don't understand that. Like, I can't.
You've had movies come out. You had one a few years ago on Netflix that was really good. Probably one of the most. No, it didn't have the pedo stuff in it, like you mentioned, but it was.
Well, now the documentary they released does.
As far as being, this was a documentary on Netflix. This was the other one. It had Macaulay Culkin's brother in it, Rory. And I mean, this was, I mean, as far as some of the historical facts of what actually happened, it was right in there. You know, the 911 call, the original 911 call from the sheriff's office to the field. I mean, that was, you know, that was transcourt. You know, it was right on the money. So, now, Uncle Will, the rancher, did this recently happen? Is this the black rancher out west you're talking about? The black couple who's been having problems with their neighbors? Is this the one you're talking about? And I apologize for being behind on the comments here. I hope it was not the black rancher, because that family, husband and wife out there, are getting harassed to death.
I don't know if I know about that.
Let's see.
Well, now the thing about Randy, she put there. I mean, they've got footage of him at rallies.
That's the same thing that I think I said it or was going to say it. So
go back and watch. There's a doc out. All of the phone transcribe or actual phone recordings are on the Waco. And look, they pointed out how bad they failed. It's not a defense of the government doc by any stretch of the imagination. Even a lot of government guys are like, yeah, we screwed this up bad. But on the Randy Weaver, unless I'm confusing, that's the guy from Ruby Ridge. Yeah, the federal government had watched him for a long time. He moved there because of the white supremacists in that area, and they have footage of him there and making buys and selling through with the white supremacists. So that I don't think there was, again, I don't think there was any question to that. I never knew of there being any question to that, but I also never knew that people idolized this guy. I had no clue.
Right. Let me try. Let me see if I can upload these pictures now. Let's see that comment there. Seeds of rebellion were planted at Waco. You want to comment on that, Justin? Do you have a comment on that?
I seeds of cowardness and child pedophilia were planted there.
No. He's talking. No, did you understand what he's saying? He's talking about like the American people. So.
I don't, because I don't know how rational. Like, no, because I here's the danger. The people that would agree with me, and I'm not proud of this. A lot of the people that would agree with me would say, "Well, the government's just doing what they had to do to get that done," and I don't agree with that.
No,
but a lot of people would. I think a small group of people acknowledge it for what it actually is: a failure on the government's part to take down a monster.
Right.
And I think for those people it is. But no, I really I get what he's saying now. And to be honest with you, like, I think there should be, like, some people should have looked at that and said, well, now hold on. Like, you know, they overstepped their bounds there. But a lot of people didn't. A lot of people defended it. And I think what made it easier to defend was what kind of person Koresh was. And I think they justified it because we see that happen. Patriot Act. They justify that by what happened.
Oh yeah.
You know, and they're dishonest with it. Like, if the Patriot Act was originally what they said it was, I don't have a problem with it.
No.
You know, but it's not what they said it was. And then you have people coming out and exposing it, and they got to go live in an airport in Russia for it, you know. Yeah. So, but no, I get what he's saying, and it really should have. It really should have, but I don't think that it did. You know.
You're talking about Snowden, right? The airport in Russia. Now, he don't live in an airport. He has a nice place in Russia.
I don't know. He was living in an airport because I don't keep up with that. That's been a long time ago. For a long time, he was stuck in the airport, and that's been years back. He may be a citizen now. I don't know.
I don't think he's a citizen, but I think it might have been last year they granted him something so he could stay. So
yeah,
let's see.
That's wild. Like, you know, it's sad that he has to, because if you look, like, what did he do? What did he do wrong? You know, like, I understand why they think he done something wrong, but you know, he's not going to get a president to acquit him. Every president says they will. Obama said he would. Obama said he would protect whistleblowers and went after him, you know, instead of protect them. And Trump wouldn't touch him, wouldn't help him, wouldn't do nothing for him. Biden knows who he is. I don't know if Biden knows who he is. You know, this dude's probably stuck. And then how could you ever trust the government to come back? You know what I mean? If they said, don't worry about it. We know you were right. Or if you want a Supreme Court case, if they caught you before you come into the country and took you to Guantanamo, on terrorism charges, then it wouldn't matter what Supreme Court said.
Well, buddy, it's I don't know. I just think that our government is up to a lot of stuff that years ago we would not have even have guessed that our government's doing something like this. We would have guessed third world countries were doing this, but not our government. And I think it actually says something like that in the is it the Van Halen Right Here video? And that came out in the early 90s, and it says something I think similar to that. I don't know why this is not letting me.
I don't know, but we and
upload these pictures.
Who was the other one? The other guy made two really good comments, and one was Timothy McVeigh was inspired by Waco. And remember when I done the whole thing over Jolly West and that LSD trial, McVeigh was part of that. But Waco did, and see that to me, there's that danger. Waco, he idolized, Koresh, and then did what he did, and like
okay. So you're saying McVeigh idolized David Koresh?
Yeah, that's why he drove down.
Okay, I thought that a
lot of people thought McVeigh was. That Koresh was Jesus, like he claimed to be, and a lot of people really believed that, but they do that all the time with these cults.
Okay, no, I thought the reason that sent McVeigh over the edge is because he had went, just come back, a vet and defending our country, and he's seen what agents of our countries were doing to innocent women and children. I thought that that's what his dad said pushed him over the edge.
I don't know that McVeigh ever served in the military. He could have. I don't know that. McVeigh was at Harvard. He was a Harvard student. He was part of the Harvard LSD study.
Can you look up and see if Timothy McVeigh was in the military? So
yeah, he was.
Might not have been. So
and he could. I don't know. I've never looked that deep into it. But now he was at Harvard. He was to be, I think, maybe originally a lawyer, but he agreed to that program to test that, to test LSD, and he went off reservation. He just checked out. He probably had schizophrenia or something like that. And LSD generally is a gateway to opening that up if you even have it repressed at all. And his brother said after that, he was never the same, that he went out to that building and stayed, but they didn't think that he was out, to do anything like that until his neighbors. They would have probably never called him if not been for his neighbors, and noticing stuff.
For some reason, I'm pretty sure he was in the military.
He could have been.
I'm sorry that they treat you that way. They should not do that. Sometimes you can talk to people. Well, I'm not saying for you to go and talk to them. I'm saying, sometimes a former or a retired law enforcement officer can talk to people and make them see
it has him listed as Army Infantry School, so he very well may have been.
I thought he was in the military, so. And
I may very well be talking about somebody completely different.
McVeigh knew the government was what the government was doing, but
it couldn't have been from Vietnam though, because he got out.
No, it was it might have been Desert Storm he was in, or ones thereafter. So, but I always heard that's a reason, he set up the bombs in Oklahoma City was because, and I remember seeing an interview with his father on ABC that, after Waco, he actually drove to Waco because he was so upset and irate that he went, and fought for our country. And like I said, you had government agents, agents of our government, an extension of our government going in and killing women and children. And that's what set him over the edge.
You shouldn't say this is why I shouldn't be allowed to talk. You're right. He was. I'm thinking of the Unabomber.
Okay.
Unabomber's the dude that lived in the shack.
Yeah.
And that was part of the Harvard study.
Yeah. He was the Harvard guy. So, But I mean, you've got a young man, and I'm not saying what Timothy. I'm just trying to speculate, like a possibility, because let's say that what his father said that interview was true, sent him over the edge. You've got a young man that goes over, when he's 18, 19 years old, he's still a teenager, and he goes to Desert Storm, and he sees some horrible things over there, because there were some horrible things happened over there. Now, it might not have lasted a long time, but there are some horrible things that affect you. And you come back to this country with that, and then you see the same faction that you're a part of. I'm not saying he was part of the ATF, but he was an arm for the government, going out and killing innocent women and children. I mean, like I said, it's tragic. Oklahoma City's tragic. There was a baby, I think, named Bailey and it was one of the photographs that went nationwide. And she was my daughter's age when that happened. So that affected me just looking at that picture, because they had the same color hair, they were about the same age, but I could see where that could send a young man over the edge, What do you think?
I think he's a psychopath. I don't give him excuse.
Well, yeah.
I just don't. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right, because I'm wrong all the time. I don't have an excuse for him. I don't.
Okay. Well, no, I'm not making an excuse for him. I'm just saying, let's say if we were in a Marvel or DC movie, this is how a villain could be created. That's all I'm saying.
A villain. Yeah, I can see it. And Snark Sass, you are right. It is Ted Kaczynski. That's how bad my memory is.
Dude,
and I didn't put him in that. I didn't put him in that the other day, but he was involved in that whole deal with Jolly West.
Was he really?
Mm-hmm.
So I did not know that. Well, we've been going for a while, brother. You want to go ahead and start winding things down? I mean, this, for anyone that has a family, that had family, that knew anyone, that was affected by 9/11, I mean, we were all, as Americans, affected by 9/11 in some capacity. But if you have, a loved one or anyone that, passed away in that tragic event, tomorrow, like I said, just, take a few little seconds and just, kind of think about them and keep an open mind. Because like I said, 22 years ago, I would have absolutely 100% said, no, there is no way that the government had anything to do with that. Even Building 7 had nothing to do with it. Today, I'm 50-50, and the Douglas's comment before, mentally unstable, that was McVeigh. I totally agree with that. There you go. I wish there was a lot of people, and I think in time they could be that way. When we do go out, Justin, don't hop off. Hang backstage after the closing video plays. I wanted to ask you something. So, because there's a certain look on your face. So,
no, I'm reading comments. My eyes suck that bad. I'm trying to focus on reading comments.
Oh, okay. God bless you and me. God bless you. God bless you all. Let's see. I do want to give a shout out. Let me go back up here to some of these right here. Let me hide this. And let's see. Our social media shout out of the week. Where's that at? Goes to Mr. Rich Newbuck. You can follow him on YouTube at youtube.com/Rich Newbuck 1875. Do you have any thoughts, closing thoughts, or anything to say before we wrap everything up, Justin?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up for a topic, and I don't think anybody that was alive in Pearl Harbor forgot Pearl Harbor, and I think that was important, and it's still, everybody knows about it today, but it doesn't maybe have the same emotional impact that it did. And I think, stuff like this and talking about this, I think it keeps that alive. And maybe if you if you do something like this, maybe there's a chance that at some point you get back to that point where people are a little more unified and a little more caring for each other. And I think it's important. We didn't glorify anything bad or talk about, hey, we treated it with respect and put focus on something that was probably the worst thing that happened in my lifetime to our country. And
that's, thank you for saying that, because that is another reason that I did an episode on September 11th last year, is because there's a lot of younger people that, they're cutting so much out of school. They cut out cursive writing. They're changing everything. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if they don't teach this in history because it's too graphic, so that's another reason last year that I was, did the 9/11 to people.
Yeah.
We'll be
because
aware.
now there's people that were born after adults. Like you have adults. So like if you were born in 2002, which was after it happened, you'd be 21 years old now,
Yep. So this is a great comment right here. I love this. Thank you, Douglas. If you don't remember the past, you are doomed to repeat it. That is 110% correct.
My favorite Rage Against the Machine line, and I forget where they quoted it from. He who controls the present controls the past, and he who controls the past controls the future.
He who?
Yeah.
Okay, that kind of sounds like a the you who chocolate drink or something like that. So,
you who controls the past, present, and future.
But like I said, let's see. Let me hit a button here. Let me go back up. There we go. I want to thank everyone for watching us. Thank you very much. We'll be back next Sunday. And be sure to check out show producer Lucy's Etsy store. It's on the screen. Check out and support. Justin's holding up what kind of stuff she does. I have some stuff over there that I will have over here next week and show everyone. But you can check her out on Etsy at etsy.com/shop/LNR crafts and things. And don't forget to check out our friend Luke Fugit, Scientific Fugacity. You can hear him on Spotify. Luke, I'm glad Luke lives in our area, because if we do have something, we have
where man needs to go
with a place that is off grid, that is in the head of a holler where it's really hard to get to. But I know exactly where that is, so I can get us there. So, again, be sure to check out Mr. Rich Newbuck. He is our social media shout out of the week. YouTube.com/Rich Newbuck 1875. Before I get back to the video, thank you guys very much. I'll be coming to some more of your comments there in just a moment. I do want to remind everyone to also check out Talk Junkie with our friend Mr. Justin Perkins. You can find that right now on Spotify. Are you on iTunes too?
I'm on iTunes and Spotify. They suck. I don't even know if there's new ones up, so you don't have to go listen.
No, they don't suck. They are good.
No,
they don't. But that'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, remember, we all have a voice, and together we can change the world.
Don't suck and be good to people.
We'll see you next week.
One day I'm up, the next I'm down. You got my head spin around and round. Too much confusion, no one to blame.
Your systems are offline.
You've been listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum 2.0. Be sure to tune in next week.
I hear people say we don't need this war, but I say there's some things worth fighting for. What about our freedom? up to me.